Hi, my name is Carrie Brennan, and I would love to show you how you can begin using Twitter in your very own classroom today. So before we begin, these are the 3 questions that I'm going to be focusing on. First of all, what is Twitter? Secondly, what is the Twitter lingo? And finally, how can educators use Twitter in their actual classrooms? Twitter is a social networking site, which means you can connect with people from all over the world. Twitter is also considered micro-blogging because your tweets only consist of 140 characters. Twitter is a fantastic way to find, share information, collaborate with people from all over the globe, and start interesting conversations. To begin using Twitter, you'll want to log on to twitter.com. To create your account, it's super easy and it's free. All you need to do is type in your full name, give an email, come up with a password, and then you're ready to go with Twitter. I just started using Twitter in my 5th grade classroom, and so I have a Twitter already. My username is MissBrennan14. I'll type in my password, and I am signed on. It immediately takes you to your timeline. So your timeline is this constant streaming of tweets. These tweets are coming from accounts that I follow. The Twitter timeline you can compare to a Facebook newsfeed. So the people you follow, you get to see what's going on with them when they tweet things out. Speaking of the following people and people that follow you, when you follow someone, that means you subscribe to their Twitter account, which means every time they tweet something or share something, it comes up in your timeline. When people follow you, that means they are the ones subscribing to your Twitter account. It's also important to know as a teacher, just because somebody follows you does not mean you have to follow them back, and vice versa. Just because you follow someone doesn't mean they automatically follow you back, which is different from the way Facebook works. So before we start navigating Twitter and take a closer look at it, let's talk about some important Twitter lingo. We just discussed what a timeline is. Now let's talk about a tweet. So the tweet is the actual message that you are sending out. When you want to tweet something, you click on this button and your tweet box comes up. You only have 140 characters to tweet. Within those 140 characters, you can include text, you can include photos, you can include videos, and links. And if you notice, as I was typing, this number keeps track of how many characters you have left in your tweet. It's very simple to add a photo or video by clicking on this button, and you can add a location to your tweet. Once you hit tweet, your tweet will go on your profile, and it will also appear in the timeline of those accounts who follow you. So looking back at our lingo, we've got hashtags. So the hashtag is the pound symbol. And here's an example. Let's say I'm tweeting something. I'm tweeting a couple pictures of my 5th graders. Let's say they are playing a math game. So when I tweet out those photographs, I can include the hashtag 5th grade by using the pound sign. So notice I did not put a space between the word 5th and grade. A hashtag does not use spaces. You can change capitalization. That will not affect the hashtag, but once you hit that space bar, your only hashtag will be 5th and it won't include grade. So this is how a hashtag works. If you look back at my timeline, you will see many hashtags. What the hashtags do is connect tweets containing the same keyword or topic. For instance, if we look at a tweet by Mike, he tweeted, "Text, I got chills reading literary essay introductions like this." He hashtagged TSD Thinkers and provided a picture. The hashtag TSD Thinkers stands for Troy School District Thinkers. Anyone who sends out a tweet with the hashtag TSD Thinkers is now grouped into a collection of tweets. When you click on TSD Thinkers, you click on that hashtag, you are now brought to kind of a mini timeline with tweets only including the hashtag TSD Thinkers. So as you see, we're looking at a timeline with different Twitter user accounts, different pictures, different text included, but they all have the TSD thinkers that connects them on this timeline. So that is how hashtags work. Hashtags are a main part of Twitter. Also, looking back at the lingo, we have the @ symbol. The @ symbol is another extremely popular symbol in Twitter. The @ symbol can be used in two different ways. First of all, it identifies usernames. So like I mentioned before, my Twitter account is MissBrennan14. To show that that's my account, you need to put in the @ symbol. So that shows a username. Also, @ symbols can be used to mention other accounts in tweets. So what I mean by that, if you look back at my timeline, we have a tweet sent out by Kim, and she said, "Fans sell out one last game for freshmen fighting brain disease." She included the link to the article, and she tweeted at Sporting News, which means she mentioned Sporting News by using the @ symbol, and if you click on Sporting News, we go to that Twitter account. So this tweet will be mentioned to the account Sporting News. Looking back at the lingo, we've got a retweet. So a retweet is when you are scrolling through your timeline and let's say you find a tweet that you like or something that you want to appear on your timeline. So what you do is you find a good tweet you'd like to retweet, and let's say I want to retweet Mrs. Kemp's tweet here. "Feeling the Baker pride and one Troy with Baker buddies at Kelly." So this is someone's username. She mentioned Kelly. She hashtagged one Troy and Baker pride. Baker is the middle school. So if you notice at the bottom of her tweet, we have several different options. This arrow stands for reply. So if you click that arrow, you can post a response to her tweet. The double arrow means to retweet. That means when you retweet something, it will show up on your timeline, which means your followers will be able to see this other retweet. So if I wanted to retweet this, I would hit retweet. It would not only show up on my profile, but it would show up on my followers' timeline. So here's an example. I retweeted it. I'm going to go back up to my profile. And now on my own timeline, it shows Miss K. Brennan retweeted, and we have the whole text, we have the photo, the hashtags, and the mention. You can also use the star. So the star means that you favorite that tweet. There is a section of your Twitter that keeps track of all the tweets you favorited so you can go back and look at them later. Now, looking back at the lingo, we already mentioned what it means to follow someone. You are subscribing to their account, and then followers are those people who subscribe to you. With Twitter in the classroom, I have been using my Twitter mainly to post pictures of my students. So, for example, 5th graders doing research in the computer lab to prepare for our field trip to the Apple Store next week. So I included 4 pictures of my students doing some work in the computer lab. It was very simple. While they were working, I used my iPad, took some pictures. I have the Twitter app on my iPad, and I sent it out right away. Notice I hashtagged One Waddles. I teach at Waddles Elementary, and our school hashtag is One Waddles. So if you click on it, all of the other teachers who are including One Waddles hashtags are now grouped into this timeline. So that's how the hashtags work. Also, looking back at my profile, I also have a classroom blog, and I provided that link in this tweet. So it says, "These 5th graders are full of great thoughts. Hashtag just the beginning." We had just started our blog. Hashtag One Waddle, so it connects to my school's Twitter. TSD Thinkers, so it connects to the Troy School District Twitter. And then I provided my link, missbrennanroom14.weebly.com. So if you click on that link, you are automatically brought to our classroom blog. So it's a great way to communicate what's going on in your classroom. When it comes to using Twitter in the classroom, there's a great article on teachhub.com that provides over 50 ways to use Twitter in the classroom. So just scrolling through these, you see tweet about upcoming due dates or assignments. You can use Twitter to coordinate assignments. You can track certain hashtags, whether it has to do with the community, the world, any political things that are going on. You can follow issues that are happening. You can do field trips. So let's say you take your class on a field trip. They all have their phone or their iPad, and they can follow a certain hashtag. Let's say it's Miss Brennan Apple Store field trip. That's the hashtag. Every time a student tweeted out something, they provide the hashtag Miss Brennan Apple Store field trip, and it will all connect. You can take and share notes. You can connect with classrooms from all over the place. You can bring in the parents and the community. They know what's going on in your classroom. Politics are huge on Twitter. Things that are happening in the government. You can write reviews, sample questions. You can facilitate discussions. You can do things such as Twitter chats, as long as the kids all have the same hashtag. The list is seemingly endless with how Twitter can be used in your classroom. You can either use it a lot or just every now and then to update people on what's going on in your classroom. Currently, my students do not have a Twitter of their own. They're in 5th grade. Maybe in the spring we will start our own. They will each get their own Twitter, but for now, I like to tweet out pictures. The kids love looking at it, and the parents also enjoy it as well. It's a great way to showcase what's happening in your classroom. So I hope you learned a lot about Twitter, and it is a very simple tool to use once you get used to the language and the way things work. So I hope you learned some things, and happy tweeting.